So thank you, Chris. We appreciate your help and want to welcome everyone to Kayla's springtime workshop, usually in April, but this year moved to June. My name is Jean Dion. I'm the Electronic Resources Coordinator at the University at Albany Libraries, and I've been a longtime member of Kayla right from the get-go. I'm on our coordinating committee, and our committee puts together these workshops for the interests of our members for our professional development and enrichment. And I think today's topic certainly falls in that category. I'd just like to make everyone aware that those of you who are attending this workshop today, we can and will send you a certificate of attendance and also an evaluation form. And the evaluation forms are especially important to us because they help us understand what topics are important to our members, what you want to learn about, what you want to know, what will help you do your job better, what will enrich your professional life. So we encourage you to please fill those out if you get a moment. And so now it is my pleasure to introduce our presenter for today. And I confess, I want to be able to pronounce your first name correctly. Is it Laurenne?
Laurenne.
Laurenne. Thank you. This is Laurenne Teachout. She's the Senior Librarian Outreach for Talking Book and Braille Library at the New York State Library and the Cultural Education Center in Albany. And she's been there since September, after previously serving as a public library director in several libraries in Rensselaer County and as a captioning assistant for the hearing impaired in Pittsfield, Mass. Just on a personal note, my mother had a visual impairment and she made great use of talking books. So this topic is especially near and dear to my heart. And I feel, as we all do, very fortunate to have Laurenne work with us today and sharing with us her wealth of knowledge and experience about TBBL. And so without further ado, I will turn it over to Laurenne. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Jean. And it's September of 23 that I started with the Talking Book and Braille. So I've been there, I'm almost up to 2 years. So I'm learning as I go. Every day I learn something new. So anyway, and I am hoping you can see, I can't see your view. So I'm hoping you're seeing one big slide right now that shows a player that you probably haven't seen yet before, and just introduces who we are, New York State Talking Book and Braille Library. Is that what you're seeing? You're not seeing the slides off to the side, I hope. And it's full screen? Good.
Yes.
All right, we'll move along then. So again, my name is Laurenne Teachout. I have had a lot of years of library experience, but only a couple years here with the Talking Book and Braille Library at the State Library. But I'm loving this position and I have so much to share with you today, and we have plenty of time, I believe. So if you want to ask questions as we go along, that's fine. Jean, will you be monitoring that, or am I doing this on my own?
Well, I can certainly help, but I think Chris is also in the background and can help as well.
I'll pull up the chat screen too, but sometimes I miss things that are in the chat. So I'll try to do the best I can. But otherwise, if you want to ask questions afterwards, I'm here as long as you all need me today. So, okay, so let's look at this first slide. This is a brand new, I'm excited to introduce you to our new DA2 player. This is a talking book player. We do not have it in hand. Well, we have one model, copy of it, but it's not going out to our patrons yet, but it will be within this calendar year going out. It's a brand new player that they've come out with, but it does not obscure previous players or not make them obsolete. We still have all the previous players and they're going to still be used. This one is wireless and has a huge capability in terms of storing a lot of books on it. So people who use Wi-Fi and Bluetooth and use our audio book player will be interested in this new player. And I just wanted to give you a quick sneak preview of that. We're going to talk about a lot of things, but that was on my first slide. Okay, so let's move along. So what is, we call ourselves TIBL. TBBL. What are we? We are the New York State Talking Book and Braille Library. We are a division of the New York State Library. I'm joining you today from Albany and looking out over a beautiful sunny day out there, although a bit hot. We are a division of the New York State Library. But we are also a free public lending library. So I don't know if all of you are public libraries. I think I had seen that there was quite a diversity of libraries joining us today, library assistants. But we are, in fact, a public lending library for any residents of New York State from the 55 upstate counties of New York who are unable to use standard print materials because of a print disability. We're going to go into all of this in much greater detail. We're also one of 2 network libraries in New York State that work under the auspices of the National Library Service for the blind and print disabled out of Library of Congress in Washington, D.C. So we wear a lot of hats here. We serve individuals and institutions. Individuals, again, as I said, upstate New York, there is another library in Manhattan that serves Manhattan, Long Island, and the boroughs that we'll talk about a little bit more, but we serve everybody else in the state. And institutions, we're going to go over this in detail. There will be a lot of repetition. I apologize for that, but I want to make sure I had the time this time. Sometimes I have to cram my presentations into short time frames, but you guys were generous enough to give me a lot of time. So I want to make sure that we really, really do cover everything and that you walk out of this presentation feeling like you know a lot. So if I'm covering things over and over, please bear with me. I'm just trying to make sure you understand. So here's the United States. We have libraries and National Library Service from Washington, D.C., again, out of the Library of Congress, has these libraries, network libraries like we are, in all the different states and territories. So if anyone, the nice thing about that is all of our materials come from them. We're linked in with their massive catalog. We have a lot of resources that we'll discuss that come that way. As I said, we are one of 2 in the state. Andrew Heiskell Braille and Talking Book Library is our partner in Manhattan. So again, there's just a lot of flexibility. We have a lot of communication amongst ourselves. Materials come from all over. You'll see when we talk about summer reading that some of our programming comes from all over. It just gives our patrons a lot more that we can offer based on how widely connected we are. And if patrons move from state to state, they can transfer their service and take their player and materials with them to different states. Okay. So we talked about what is TIPL. Sorry, I bounced backwards. I'm so sorry. All right, eligibility for service is what we're going to talk about next. We'll just zip right through. So who's eligible for our service? Individuals that are unable to read standard print due to a print disability, which would include blindness, low vision, declining vision. There are grades for this on our website and on NLS's website. There's a chart that will explain all the specifications if you'd be interested in knowing more. Physical disabilities, if a patron or a person is not able to hold a book due to weakness or a loss of a limb or incapacity, anything that makes it so that a person cannot hold a book, turn pages, they would qualify for our service. And reading disabilities like dyslexia. So if they look at a book and they don't see the words as a sighted person sees the words, they would also qualify. So those are the qualifications. Any of those things would make them eligible for our service. It can also be a permanent condition or a temporary condition. So that's something to bear in mind. So finding out that you qualify for service, the individual will apply using our application, which we have online, or we can send them out. They are available in English or Spanish. In fact, NLS now has a public-facing all Spanish website that we can refer people to if they're interested in using that. Any individuals under 18, under the age of 18, are now required to have a parental acknowledgement form signed. It's sort of incorporated into the application, but it does need to be completed for anyone under 18 by a parent or guardian. Certified by competent authority, we're going to go over exactly what that means, but those two signatures are the most important things. Now, if you're dealing with anyone over 18, they do not need the parental acknowledgement. They do still need a certifier that is a competent authority, which is many of you. We'll talk about that. And then just submit it to us, however is the easiest way. We just want to make the process as simple as possible and get people started on service. So email, fax, mail, there, I believe, is a form that you can just fill out online and submit it digitally that way, whatever works for anybody. And if most of you are in a library, if you are presented with a patron who wants to fill out an application on the spot, I'll explain to you how that can work. And you can even keep the application back after the patron fills it out and send it to us in one of these ways yourself, thereby making it so much easier so that the wind doesn't blow it or a dog doesn't eat it or whatever happens. We want to make sure we get them registered and get them started on service. Did I hear a question? Nope. Okay. So who can be a competent authority to certify? You all can, librarians and library staff. You do not need to be an MLS certified librarian. If you work in a library, you know your patrons, you may sign as the competent authority if you can comfortably verify that that person does qualify for service. So make yourself familiar with the qualifications. If you don't know the patron, if you're in a very large library, you just met this person, you can't visibly see that they have something that qualifies them, and you're not sure and you're not comfortable, then don't feel that you have to sign that application. I mean, it's up to you whether or not you sign as the certifying authority. If not, there's a wealth of other people that can sign for them. They can have a doctor sign, they can have a therapist, a social worker, a teacher, anyone that works with them. There's a huge list here and on our website of people that can sign. So any of those, they just need one, and we do not need paper certification, nothing that legally proves that they are that they certify, just that you are as a person saying yes, that they certify, and an authority. Institutions, places like libraries, like where you are also eligible for service. We're assuming that most places serve people that will fall into the categories of people who qualify for our service. I mean, unless you really never have anybody that has blindness, low vision, physical disabilities, or reading disabilities come through your doors, then I guess probably you wouldn't be a candidate. But any places that are public places that do serve folks with those conditions would be welcome to sign up. This is a partial list here. We have down a lot of different places that we deal with regularly: public libraries, library systems, schools, universities, university and school libraries, healthcare rehab facilities, correctional facilities. I added it because we do serve correctional facilities and persons in prison, but we do that in it's a whole different vein of service, but we do that as well. Senior centers, daycare centers, any place that serves, they can sign up for us. And mostly what we're looking for, we'll go into this in greater detail, but you're not obligating yourself to a great deal of work or having to circulate our materials or anything like that. It's primarily having you be a point of service where you know who we are, you know what we do, hopefully, and we will provide you with a player and a demo cartridge that would enable you to show, hey, here's a talking book player and here's what it does, and here's some brochures about what this service does, and you should apply if you qualify. That's pretty much it. You wouldn't have a lot of responsibilities in terms of what to do. We would also love for you to understand our online BARD system, which we'll talk about further. So what happens after somebody applies? We get their application. We have a team here, a small, diligent, dedicated team here in Albany that will look them up, see if they are already in our system. A lot of times institutions, especially schools, libraries, there's changeover in who works there, and they don't realize that they signed up years ago. We've been around for quite a while, and we'll find out that a library signed up in 2002, but there's nobody there that knows that, and the player is hidden in a closet somewhere, and nobody realizes that they're signed up. So we'll reactivate your service, explain to you how we work now in this day and age. Same with individuals. If somebody was a patron before, we may have some records. We'll check that out. If not, we'll sign them up as a new patron. Our reader services team will reach out and figure out what are they looking for. There's many different types of service, as we'll explain. And they'll get a welcome packet, materials, machines. Everything is free. I'll be stressing that as we go along. There is no charge for anything that we provide. Reader services and myself, senior librarian, and my supervisor, who's also a librarian, are available to help and answer questions. And if you can't reach us, obviously we're not here 24 hours a day, but we have a dedicated email. We have a phone line where we check our messages diligently. So anytime, we'll get back to them. Okay, our collection. Let's talk about what do we have. We have all the books and magazines that you could imagine, mostly. Magazines, as you know, the industry has been a bit going downhill, I guess. We have most magazines, though, that exist. If we can get them, we have them. So patrons would subscribe to the magazine. Like, let's say it's People, it would come out on a weekly basis. If it's a monthly, Smithsonian, National Geographic, Consumer Reports, those would come out monthly. We're offering them in an audio version or a Braille version or a digital Braille version. It varies by magazine in terms of what we have to offer, but we're talking magazine subscriptions and children's as well. We have, last I knew, we had Cricket, Stone Soup, various other magazines if they're still in existence. We have books, that we have the latest bestsellers. We have fiction, nonfiction. We have books now, thanks to the Marrakesh Treaty in 2020. We have books in over 40 languages. I've counted and looked at them. You can look up online and see what we have available. Most of those are digital materials. Some will be physical. They may have to come from other libraries if they're physical materials, but digitally you can download those books quickly and easily through our online downloading system. I'm not saying we have 40 languages and we have millions of books in each one. The more widely used languages will have more materials, but we do have some rather interesting indigenous peoples languages. We have Iroquois, we have Cherokee, we have Ojibwe. We have some interesting and also widely around the globe, very interesting languages available. So make sure that you're aware of that you can let people know, hey, we have, things for you. And then the music appreciation and scores, it's a fascinating thing as well. I won't go into great detail, but you can read more about it at NLS's website. The music department for NLS is the largest of its kind in the entire world. They have scores, music appreciation, music instruction materials in large print and in Braille, and just a tremendous collection of those materials available for our patrons to use. Some are physical, some are digital and downloadable, but not music. I would refer people back to the public libraries for pleasure music. If they want music to listen to, just to listen to, that's not what we offer. We offer only learning, appreciation, scores, and instructional materials. Some things like opera we would have, but not a huge collection of just pleasure music. Our Braille on Demand program, I'm going to just touch on that. We're going to go to another slide that goes in detail, but we'll talk about what that is. We do add new materials weekly, so I go in all the time and look, and there's probably 10, 12, 20, 30, I don't even know how many, but many materials added each week. So that's magazines and books being added all the time. We do not specifically loan textbooks for students, but we do have certainly many books that would be appropriate for homeschoolers and for college students. Certainly anything, literature related, we probably have, but we don't have specifically textbooks. But we'll have resources coming up that we do have, that we can suggest that people get textbooks if they need them. All right, Braille on Demand. This is a new program that NLS launched last year. It is basically designed to help folks that use Braille to expand their at-home collections. So what they can get, if they wish, if they're a Braille reader and they want to do this, they can request from our BARD system, which we will discuss. That's our downloadable audio, or not necessarily audio, but our downloadable materials. Much like public libraries have Libby, we have something called BARD, which we will go into coming up. But anyway, they can, if a material is listed on BARD and it is in Braille, it has to be a Braille material listed on BARD, that can request up to 5 of those. They contact us and we put in the request for them, and they will be sent in the mail hard copy Braille books of those, printed out of those particular books, 5 per month, so they could really build up their library. Formats to meet individual needs. So we're going to talk about, what do we have? What kinds of things do we have? What formats are they in? We have Braille books in physical Braille, which if you haven't seen physical Braille, it's often just Braille. I mean, you'll open up something and it's just line after line of Braille, a rather thick book. If you were to try to have a book of Harry Potter, for example, it would probably be many, many volumes going up to the ceiling practically. It's very big, it's cumbersome, it takes up a lot of room, but we do have it. We send it out. It's shipped in special containers, and we have quite a lot of it. Magazines, we also have some Braille magazines available, and sports schedules. I didn't mention that, but we often have the baseball and the basketball schedules in Braille. Children's print Braille, you'll see a couple of pictures. In the picture here that we see, the one with the fireman, that's a Mary Pope Osborne book about New York's finest. We have these beautiful print Braille books that have pictures, words, and Braille at the same time. So there's a plastic, heavy duty plastic overlay that has the Braille on it. So someone sighted and someone that uses Braille can use the book at the same time and read together. It makes for very nice buddy reading, things in schools, perhaps a grandchild reading with a grandparent, or I've been using them at public story times here at the museum. I've been suggesting to public libraries that they check one or two of these out occasionally. We have a breadth of topics. I think there's over 1,000 of these and expanding all the time. They're just beautiful, beautiful books. We showcase them whenever we do outreach activities, and I would highly recommend them. They also come in bilingual versions, so we have many of those available as well. And they're very timely with topics and things like that. We also carry audiobooks and magazines on cartridge. You can see on the picture here, the little green thing sitting on top of the player. The black thing is our audiobook player. There's headphones off to the side. We do provide headphones with everybody when they get their player. There's a port there on the side for that. And the green cartridge that you see, it's essentially a flash drive housed by a plastic thing with a little thumb or finger hole in it, but it goes in the front of the player, and that's what circulates as books on cartridge. The ones that you see in the blue cases are how they're shipped. These blue cases off to the side, they go through the mail that way and they come back to us that way. The white cartridges you see that has a title on it, that's how our books used to be. We do still have these, but very rarely do they circulate anymore unless it's for a book club or something like that with one title on a cartridge. We don't usually do that now. At this point, we can put multiple titles onto a cartridge, and that's how it's done. So those are a little bit obsolete, but there they are. You can also use our system. Here we go, Bard. It is called Bard. It is Braille and audio reading download. This is available 24/7. You can access it via the internet, via app. It's readily available. And it does require a separate login. So anyone that's our patron needs to also have a active Bard account, which will help them to do. And then from there, they can just download. You can put books onto a flash drive. You can put them onto one of these cartridges. You can have them on your smartphone. Both Braille and audio can come that way. And they come instantly. And like I said, yeah, in magazines, books, in audio or e-Braille, which I think we'll still be talking about more. Here's what we have for equipment. We have a refreshable Braille e-reader. This is our newest, until the DA2 gets here, our newest device. This came the fall of 23, spring of 24. This is like a Kindle for folks that read Braille, that are blind and read Braille. Well, I guess they don't have to be blind, but anyone that reads Braille. This is a pretty small device. I don't have it in front of me to show you, but it comes in a little carrying case. We have a few more pictures coming up, so maybe you'll get to have the sense, but it's small, lightweight, battery operated with a rechargeable battery. And this one shows a wire attached with a cartridge so that you could download and put the materials in. But the materials go into the refreshable e-reader as digital files, and they come out as physical Braille. This bit on the front, on the top here, these keys move up and down, and the Braille reader can read with their fingers as they're traveling. It comes with a little leather carrying case and a strap, and it's very portable, as opposed to all those books I mentioned that people would have to lug around if they wanted to read Braille on the go. This is a real game changer for people that read Braille. And we have the ZoomX device. It's a couple $1,000 to buy, but we don't charge anything for it. If someone reads Braille, they can get one of these. Institutions will not be provided with this unless there's a specific, one-time event that you're having that you want to show one off or something. We can arrange something, but generally these are going out just to patrons who read Braille proficiently and are going to be using this on a day-to-day basis. The next slide is showing you, again, the advanced digital talking book machine. There are two models. I don't think any of my slides show the standard player, but we have a standard player. Oftentimes that would be what you would receive at a public library if you sign up to be a member. It works fine. It's exactly the same. It just has a few less buttons. I think it maybe doesn't have tone and speed, but it still plays the book and goes forward and backward. I think it still has the sleep function. The little moon that you see there is a really nice thing that I use often with mine. It's a sleep function. So if you're likely to fall asleep while reading, you can set it for 15 minutes or half an hour or 45 minutes, and your player will turn off after that time so you don't have it just keep going all night while you're sleeping. And you can adjust tone, you can adjust speed, you can adjust the volume up and down. The red button is your on and off switch, and the little rectangle, I'm not going to get the shape today, sorry, a bit flustered today. I had some trouble getting on here earlier. That button there is the one that will tell you instructions. It'll walk you through everything, what books are on there, where you're at. It spells out the author's name. It tells you the publisher. Tells you how to navigate forward and backward. It's very helpful. And as I said, coming in soon, we're in the process of negotiating them right now, the DA2 player. Now, those will not be for everybody. They will only be for people who have access to Bluetooth and wireless capability and need that sort of player. Not everybody is going to switch over to that. So we'll see what happens. Bard, as we discussed, we're going to talk about Bard, I think even more than this, but this is the Bard mobile app and what it looks like on a smartphone. So it's just an app that you get through the App Store. You put it onto your phone, and then it looks just much like the player, and you can use it there and listen to your books there if you like. Okay, next. We also have a variety of accessories. Headphones is one thing I mentioned. We usually do send out, unless you say you don't want headphones, most times we often will send out a pair of headphones. Those are to keep. We never ask for those back. The players and the machines and the cartridges we consider a long-term loan. You can keep them as long as you need them, but we expect them to come back at some point. But the headphones you can just keep. There is a high volume player. It requires a doctor's order. It can actually damage the hearing of people who don't need it. So those that do need it need to specifically request it, ask to work through us. We'll request it through NLS and it gets shipped specifically to the patron that needs it. And it must be used with headphones. But that is an option. There's a breath switch for someone that can't operate using their hands. They can use the special switch to turn the player on and off, and I think other sorts of directions. We haven't had that much use for it, but it exists, and we'll get it into the hands of someone that needs it. There's a remote control, little wireless remote control that's battery operated that we can send out to go with the DS1, which is I said the bare bones player that doesn't have as many functions. If you ask for the DS1 with the remote, then you get the same functions that you would have with the DA1, which is the advanced player. So that's a little plus. We have plenty of those, so we can definitely do that if somebody wants that. And download accessories, there isn't much. I think there's an elbow little thing that you can put into your port if you want to use a flash drive. The port is on the side of the player, so if you want to use the little elbow to make it stand up so that it's a little easier to access, we can provide that as well. And then I included this. It's not really ours, but I like to let people know that it's an option, another free thing. Anyone who needs this or wants this, and actually it's completely unrelated to us per se, so you don't have to be one of our patrons to get this. You can request from the US Treasury Department this iBill device that is just a tiny little battery operated thing. You slide the bill through it like in a restaurant and it will tell you this is a $5 bill, so you can verify that you have the right change and that you're getting the right change back as you travel and go through your life. We can help you sign up for that if you wish. Okay, borrowing materials. This picture is not the best picture, but this does show you the inside of one of our print Braille books that I was talking about. This one looks like it's something to do with space. You can see, it's hard to read it right now. You can see the picture and you can see the plastic overlay, which has the Braille, and then the words are sort of obscured by that, but this is sort of what they look like. How you use our service can be up to you, up to a patron's individual wishes. You can pretty much, I would say, on the having lots of help, and you could receive your materials through the mail. We have sort of an automatic rolling system. If in the beginning, a lot of people do this. A lot of our patrons are older. They don't necessarily want to navigate computers or smartphones. They can, many do. We don't assume someone is not going to just because they're an older patron or a younger patron, but we often do have people say, oh, I don't want to, have to do all of that. If that's the case and you really want it to just be something where books come to you and you just take your chances, our reader services team will ask a lot of questions as to what authors do you like, what interests do you have, subjects that you like, things you want to read about. You can also give them specific titles and they'll put it on a list. Specific authors they can put on there. They can screen for things like language, violence, and sex. They can eliminate things if people don't want those. All of that then gets fed into the profile of the patron, and the computer navigates our collection and puts materials onto a cartridge based on those preferences. And we usually start people off with 3 cartridges with about 6 books on it, because we don't want it to be too much, too overwhelming, or too little. So our idea is that with 3 cartridges with 6 books on it, you pretty much, so in other words, you could have 3 out at a time with 6 books when you send one back, another one comes. It's like a nice smooth system for you to continue to get books and not be left without any books, hopefully. That's the plan. We're dependent on the mail, so you never know how that will work. That can also be changed and varied. If someone is an avid reader, I myself often have 15 books on a cartridge or 20 books on a cartridge, and I usually have 3 cartridges and I read them like a crazy person. But anybody that wants to, you can adjust however it works for you. So that would probably be the simplest way, is if you signed up that way, the books came to you and everything comes to people in the mail by US Postal Service, free matter for the blind. You would have the player and the cartridges would just come to you and you would ship them back in the same thing that they came in. There's just a way of like flipping the label over or removing the label. That's all explained to you. So that would be one way that you could do it. As I said, multiple books on a cartridge from 1 to 20. That's kind of a rough estimate. It depends how much space is on the cartridge and how much it will hold. If you're dealing with children's picture books, you might be able to put 30 or 40 books on there. If you're dealing with long books like Harry Potter books, it might only be 10 books you could put on there. It depends on what they are and how big they are. Books can be sent on demand. We do that here in-house in Albany, so that gets done every Thursday. So they go out pretty quickly and regularly. And again, books, magazines, and equipment, everything circulates for free through the Postal Service. You can use any boxes. We can provide a label, but generally, most things go in the box that they came. The cartridges have their plastic cases, and that's how they ship. We're not going to send you out labels for that. You just send it the same way it comes. That's how they go through. And then you also have the Bard system, the books and reading download, mobile app or on the computer. And that's 24/7, completely accessible. This is an interesting thing because I know if you're used to dealing with audiobooks at the public library level, there can be wait lists for 6 months and for materials that are new and exciting and lots of people want them. Unfortunately, public libraries are held hostage by the audio companies, and for some reason ours are different, perhaps because they're recorded for the blind. They're available immediately. There are no wait lists and no loan periods. You may take out that as soon as it hits our collection, which sometimes can be a little bit of a lag because it has to be oftentimes re-recorded for our market. Sometimes not. Sometimes our books are exactly the same as you would get at the public library. Sometimes they are commercial. It just depends. But if they're available in our catalog, you may take it out instantly and you may keep it as long as you need to listen to that book before you return it.
Lauren, we have one question. When you say that you don't provide textbooks, do you mean that you don't provide books from textbook publishers such as CNAGE, SAGE, etc., or generally items intended to support course instruction? Thank you.
Yes, I would think it would be both. We essentially, we mainly have fiction and nonfiction standard books. So if any of those are used as course materials, then we might have them. But if they are specifically textbooks, I don't know how else to, those of you that in academia probably know better than I, but that's what I'm told. We do not have textbooks per se. We do not purchase those. So you'd be welcome to look in our collection and perhaps you might find some. And if you do, we would be happy to lend them. But we just want to let people know up front that that's not something that we often have or would have. We do have some other resources though. There are Learning Ally and a few others that can supply free textbooks to people who have reading disabilities as well. So we'll talk about that as we get to it. And I can certainly get you more information if that doesn't adequately answer your question. Okay, so let's see. Did we talk about Bard? I've gotten lost now. Okay, so to get materials through Bard. So again, Bard, we're going to say this 20 million times. Bard is Braille and Audio Reading Download. That's our little acronym for that. You do have access to, I think it's now up closer to 190,000 digital, audio, and Braille books. And it says over 90 magazines. I'm not sure. I should have checked this before this slide appeared. I'm so sorry. I'm not sure what our number of magazines is, but as I said, we try to keep up with most that are available. It just varies depending on if they're around, and music scores, as we discussed, and the other music materials. You can download them through a computer or mobile app from the App Store. Bard Express is what we call, it's a sort of a expedited version of Bard that you can use on your PC or laptop. If you want to listen to audiobooks with your PC or laptop as the listening vehicle that you're going to listen through, you can use Bard Express. Bard Mobile is on your phone, your smartphone, Android, iOS, or I think there's something else too. On Amazon maybe, is it? Or Google? Anyway, you can, most formats for that. Again, we said no wait lists, no loan periods, read at your own speed. When I say no loan periods, we do expect to get the materials back, but just, you can take your time. If you prefer to, if you're someone that likes to read slowly, don't feel rushed. There will be no fines assessed. The players and the big devices we would expect to get back whenever you're no longer using them on a regular basis, because there are people waiting to take them out. But essentially you can keep things as long as you need to. In order to be an active patron, we expect for people to be using and having a flow of materials. So if you don't do anything with your account for 6 months to a year, you'll probably get a phone call from us saying, hey, are you still active? Are you still using the service? If not, we might want to get your player back. But we try to have people just, keep using it. Again, new books added weekly, and accessible platform. I think we've gone over all these. We are going to go over stuff over and over. I hope it won't be too boring, but I just want to make sure people understand it. It's amazing how often I explain this and people just don't get it. So Bard, we've talked about. There's the application again on a smartphone. There's a flash drive. This little device that you see over here with the wire, I use this all the time. This is a cartridge plugged in. You can plug it then from there into your PC, take the books off of Bard, put them onto your cartridge, and then put the cartridge into the player if you want to do that yourself. Now, I think we might provide this wire. I can't remember. This may be showing you something that you would actually have to purchase. If you did want to do this way, we don't provide blank cartridges. You have to actually purchase a cartridge somewhere, but we can let you know where you do that. I think they're on Amazon or something. That would be the only thing that might cost you something if you wanted to do that, or use a flash drive. That's free, and hopefully you have one. Here is our ZoomAx again. So you can see the leather carrying case a little bit. The top is flipped back in this, but you can see the sides, and that's that device, the portable e-reader. So it's very convenient. It has a rechargeable battery. We have found from user feedback that the battery loses charge quickly. So we recommend that you don't keep it uncharged or unplugged unless you're going someplace, and that you bring your plug with you and plug in as soon as you can, and never really let it get down too far in that. It does connect directly to NFB Newsline, which is one of the resources we mentioned for news. It reads contracted and uncontracted Braille, and it's a Perkins style keyboard. Another option for downloading Bard, we have a new Amazon Alexa skill that NLS is now having in beta testing. If you know someone that would be interested in that and uses, it's called My Talking Books on Smart Speaker. I'm not an Alexa expert, so I'm only giving you all the information that I know here. If anybody wants to sign up for that, they're still taking people in the beta testing. So it's on the NLS website and anyone could sign up for that. And I just copied from the website some of the features of that, but I don't know too much about that. We do have someone on our staff that has been using this. So if you wanted to know more, I can hook you up with an expert. Again, receiving things through the mail. I'm not going to go over that. We kind of touched on, ooh, we did that already. Sorry, I went too far. Okay. To learn about new titles, we have some things that NLS produces bi-monthly talking book topics, which would tell you, it basically gives you little encapsulations, little annotations about books that are just being added, new books coming in. But we have that as talking book topics for audiobooks and Braille book review for Braille books. And then they did come out with, because we've had so much international language materials, there's International Language Quarterly, which highlights non-English titles that have been added to the collection. So it's another option to sign up for. People are often asking me what makes us different, what's different about what we do. We've gone over most of this, but I'll just reiterate. So you don't come to us. We are here in Albany, and we do have occasional walk-in people in the state library. The 7th floor is a public library floor. So if you wanted to come in for some reason, we could meet you on the 7th floor to help you with whatever you would need help with. But generally that happens very rarely. Most of our interactions with our patrons are by phone, email. I think there's even a little chat option now. You don't have to go anywhere. You stay home and you use the service. As I said, you can download and use it completely on your own independently, or we can help you and you can do that cartridges in the mail system, or you can do a combination of both. It's very flexible. Physical items, everything is shipped through the US mail. Again, no postage, not postage paid, but free matter for the blind. No waiting or holds, even on popular titles. Everything is navigable. The audiobooks, it's very easy to get around in there and skip from chapter to chapter and what have you. No fines or shipping costs, and long-term lending. We talked about that. Keep things for as long as you like, as long as you stay active. This is our additional resources. It's a mini additional resources. On our website, you would find many, many more additional resources. Plus, we can also provide you with any information that you would like that will help you know further where to get materials and what to do. But NFB Newsline is a free audio service for those that can't read standard newsprint. That's really helpful. Bookshare is where you can get textbooks. Learning Ally is another one that has textbooks. The Resource Center at the New York State School for the Blind and Visually Impaired, another good resource. And WMHT Rise is one that I have just a fondness for. They have all volunteers that read on the radio 24 hours newsprint for those that cannot read standard newsprint. So it's a wonderful service as well. All of these, I believe, are free services, most of them. We have a summer reading program through NLS. I'm giving you the highlights here. We've missed a little bit. Our kickoff was on the 16th, so we've missed a couple of programs, and I don't know that they're recorded. So unfortunately, there is that. But we have a few coming up. There's storytelling with Donna Washington on June 26th. These were all organized by NLS, so I don't have a lot of details about them, but there are encapsulations online that will explain. We are going with the Color Our World theme. Master Chef winner from season 3, I believe, Christine Ha, will be cooking and talking about her cookbooks and things on July 14th. And musician John O. Manson on July 24th. I took a look today and there was some things about clay sculpting and seed bomb workshops that you could watch or have the downloaded transcript of. And I did this last year. A virtual tour of the Library of Congress is very interesting. You can get it through BARD or right directly on the NLS website. It's an audio tour of the Library of Congress. It was very interesting.
Lauren, we have another question. If we
Okay.
are using the advanced digital talking machine, is there a built-in speaker or are headphones required to listen? And is the new model the same in this regard?
I believe to the first question, there is a headphone port in all of, actually, I think this would be the same for all models. So we have the standard edition, we have the advanced edition, and we have the new DA2, which is wireless. Being that the wireless model is wireless, I still think there's a headphone port on there that you can use it with headphones. They all have a speaker on them, so you can listen to them out loud, or you can use headphones with them. So I think that would answer both part 1 and part 2 of that. So yes, headphones are optional, or you can listen out loud. I often play mine out loud, but if you're where someone doesn't want to hear your book, you could use the headphones. And it's just a standard headphone port. Okay, let's see. This is just when we do outreach. We'd set up tables like this at events. We're happy to do that if you reach out to us. If we're able to, we are a fairly small staff, mostly me doing outreach, but I'm happy. I did 2 events this past weekend. We do them often. If you let us know in advance, we might be able to come out and do a table. Otherwise, we're happy to work with local libraries. If they want to set up a table on our behalf, we'll send materials as much as we can and help you do that. So I spoke about public libraries, but I wish I knew more about who all is listening. If you all want to chime in and let me know where you're from, maybe we'll have time for that after this. We really are looking to serve anyone out there that you can use our service. So that's our goal, our end game. So if you can help us with that regard, I believe we would both be providing a service to your communities, to your patrons, to anyone you know who can qualify. So I would ask if you wanted to join as an institution, that would be great. Otherwise, just request some flyers, posters. If you're in a library, putting them in the large print section, in the audiobook area, in the children's section where children with reading disabilities and parents might see them, putting them at the front desk, that would be great. We can provide a talking book player for an institution that signs up, and materials. Putting them at the reference desk is an idea. Oh, good. Thank you for letting me know who's on. I thought about asking that, but I wasn't sure how many of you and if you have time to do that. Learning a little bit about BARD. I mean, I don't know how much you can access it without becoming a member. If you're working in a library and the library signs up to be an institutional member, you can get up to 5 library members that work on your staff can sign up for BARD. You're not going to have access to most of the collection. We can't let you take out all the books, unfortunately, as staff members, but you can navigate around, get to know what's in there, be more familiar with how it works, and then be able to help a patron that comes in to access it on public computers. That would be the idea. What we provide you with is just a sampling, a smattering of what's there. You would probably be able to download like 4 specific titles or something, and that's it. Again, suggest service widely in your community. I was in several small rural libraries before I was here. I'm looking back and thinking, wow, if I knew then what I know now, I would be out there telling, my senior center, my fire department, my food pantry, my churches, my schools, everybody that I could think of, farmers markets, that this exists, because it's just such an amazing service. It is free. And I mean, I don't see the downside. You're welcome to tell me downsides if you can come up with some, but I'm not seeing what's negative here. It's all pretty good. It's coming into the future. I have heard people say, oh, the machines are clunky, it's old fashioned, maybe you don't have the best selection. That has not been my experience since I've been here since 2023. It seems to be, we do have the latest books pretty much as soon as they come out. I'm not finding that we don't. And as you can see, the equipment is certainly coming into the future. I mean, the mobile app and things are very modern. What else?
Lauren, we have another question.
Okay.
Hello, I'm at a college. Do our students from other states and counties, but are full-time at the college, qualify for this service as a resident?
No. I would say yes, because I was going to actually highlight that. Let me answer the question first, and then I'll say what I was going to say. I would say as long as they're living here and they have an address that's here, then yes, they would. It might be temporary in terms of when they move, they would probably not be in our service area anymore. They would take the service and transfer to the state that they go back to, which also probably has this service, because most of them do. So I would say yes. You just have to have an address. You do not. Oh, that was another thing I was going to stress. We have a lot of immigration things coming up right now, and I wanted to clarify that as I'm speaking to groups. And I found out that you do not need to be a U.S. citizen to have and use our service. You need to be a U.S. resident, and in our case, upstate New York U.S. resident. But again, that means that you have to have an address here in order to do that. So I think that that would satisfy with the student situation. But as I said, when they go back to their state, they would probably want to, or whatever state they move to, they would probably want to then transfer their service to whatever state they go to. But if you have immigrants, people who are not yet US citizens, they could still utilize our service as long as they have a physical address. I hope that helps. Okay, let's see. What else do we have here? I think we've gone over most things. So suggest our service widely, tell family members. I hope I've mentioned, I think I clarified it, but I don't know if it was clear. We serve all ages from babies on through older adults. We have materials for everybody in that range. There's books and materials for everybody. This is what I was just saying. Tell everybody, tell your organizations, spread the word. I think I've got this stated 16 different ways. Our motto that we use is that all may read. I take that very personally, and I want to be sure that there are no barriers to reading, that everyone can read and enjoy books. So that's really all we're about. That's what we're trying to accomplish. And I find that our service is very underutilized considering how many people probably do qualify. We have a blog and a website. I would encourage you to investigate those just to be more familiar, and then spread the word. Signing up for our blog, we don't do tons of things, but we're trying to do more and more and have like, a list of books that comes out on a holiday or something like that, letting you know when new equipment is coming out. It's nothing that you're going to get inundated with, but just letting you know what we're up to and what's happening. And of course, we can provide training and support. And I'll just put it on this last one. You can copy my contact information, and then I'm happy to take further questions. And I heard from like 1 or 2 people as to where they were from. So I see an academic library and a public library. I'm not sure who else is here. I know you're mostly all library assistants, and I'm just really happy to be with you here today. Thank you for asking me, and I will be happy to answer more questions or talk about more about something if you didn't feel like you understood it.
Lauren, would you like to share your slide presentation with the group?
Sure, that's fine.
Okay. If you'll email it to me, Christopher Tosh, I will share it with all the attendees.
Thank you. And if any of you would like more information, materials, just contact me or contact Tibble. It doesn't have to be me. All the information is here. If you are an institution and want to apply for your institution, I'm not sure that application is online on our website, so just ask us and we'll send you one out. Another university, okay. I don't know how many, most of you probably are already in our system, but it may or may not. As I said, when you change, different people leave and come and are working there. You might want to check in with us if you think your institution is already in our system and we could update things. I think it's best to just fill out a new application and send it in. If you're already in there, we'll just update the records and call you. Great. I hope most of you found this helpful. I know I kind of rambled on. I was in a much better place, and then we had a terrible time getting connected and it threw me off my game. So I really appreciate your time and hope we haven't gone too long, but I don't think we have.
No, I think it was perfect. And we on behalf of our members and all of our attendees, we'd like to thank you so much. This was extremely informative. And we're very grateful that you were able to come and speak to us today and to share your information with us. I'd just like to remind everyone, if you get a chance, to please fill out the evaluation. And also, you will be receiving a certificate of attendance. And we encourage you to participate in more upcoming workshops from Kayla, and because they're all as great as this. So thank you very much, Lauren. Appreciate it. Appreciate your time and effort. Thank
For
you.
everyone, the forms for, well, the web addresses for the certificate form and for the evaluation survey have been put into the chat. And I will
Oh,
put
there's
them in
one
again.
more. I'm sorry, Chris, there's one more question. It says, you may have already covered this, but what is the advantage of applying for an institution account versus patron direct?
It's really not one or the other. The patron direct is for an individual who qualifies and has that need. So if you're an individual who has the need and is working in a library setting or another institution setting, then by all means apply as an individual. But for institutions, you sort of would end up being a partner with us. It depends on where you are in terms of what that does for you. A school, for example, that applies to be an institutional member is probably going to have a lot more occasion to use the service. I mean, they would probably have many students that maybe not, at least some students that would qualify for the service. So they might use it in terms of they would then be able to get a player and use the service to download materials to use with a class, perhaps, instead of just with one individual student. The same with a residential living facility. I know a lot of them use the service that way. They'll get a couple of players and they'll play the materials for a group situation. Maybe those particular members can't access the materials themselves very easily. So therefore the people that work there, the activities directors or therapists, use the materials with the eligible people. We always encourage people to sign up both individually. If you're able and eligible, I would say please do sign up individually, because then you can have the personalized nature of, having the materials that you specifically want. But for facilities, and specifically public libraries, I would say, since you all are demo only, public libraries are pretty much demo only, and that might apply for university libraries and school libraries. It depends on your situation. If you're not serving a lot of individuals that qualify, then you're not really going to be using it to download lots of things. You would just be demonstrating to people who might use it. And I would think the public too. I would like to demonstrate as much as possible just to the public. When I do the story times in the museum, there's nobody that reads Braille, but I have a bunch of excited little children that are eager to come up and touch the Braille and handle the books and what is Braille, and I can explain it to them. So the more that we can spread the word, the more that we can become an inclusive society that welcomes people with differences and makes us become part of their world, I guess, rather than forcing them to conform to. It's nice to have things just be available for people and have it there, instead of having them have to use special doors and ask for special things. And we just want everything to be accessible as possible. And on that note, we have a conference coming up. I may be already booked, but just in case, on the State Library website, you may find information about a place for everyone, I believe it's called, on July 9th. We're having a day-long workshop about accessibility and working with folks with disabilities. And we'll be presenting at that and have a petting zoo of our devices and stuff too. So if anybody's interested in that, contact the State Library for more details. Any other questions? Thank you very much. I was not familiar with, well, certainly I know CDLC. I was not familiar with your group particularly, but I'm really very happy that so many of you were able to join this today. And as you probably have figured out, I can talk about this forever. So anytime you want to just contact me by email or phone, I'm an old-fashioned phone person too. So I'm happy to talk to you more and explain things further if I can. But I've tried to be clear with it, and we'll send out the slides too, and maybe you can always review everything a little bit more, but there's bound to be questions. I know I didn't mention veterans. Oh, and people living overseas. If someone lives overseas for more than 6 months in a year, they can still receive our service over there as well. There's a whole department in NLS devoted to people who are living internationally. And then veterans, we just give first priority. Like when the ZoomX devices went out, veterans that qualified got them first before anybody else. And we always do that, as we will with the DA2 device coming out. I think that's everything. There's probably things I forgot, but thank you so much. I guess I'll sign off. If it's possible to get the feedback from the, I don't know if you guys send out the feedback, but I'd love to have that as well. I'm always
Yes, we can definitely share that with you.
okay.
Very much appreciated. And thank you again for your time and extremely informative presentation.
Thank you. Shall I go ahead and log off, or